Hello and welcome to Lucy's Big Beautiful World of Painting. Today I'm going to be showing you how to do a very simple like fantasy winter scene where we're using some very vivid colors. I'm going to be using Wilson Bickford products, and I'm using his brushes and some beautiful paint in his signature paint line. So what I did first was, with a large 2-inch scenery brush, I painted on some fast flow white, okay? This way it lubricates the canvas a little bit. So I have just a very little bit on there. You won't be able to see that, but what I did was I put it on in some X strokes, okay? So this is nice and covered so I can begin painting, all right? So I think I'll just start right now. And what I'm doing is I'm taking some of this yellow paint. Now this is a really bright yellow, all right? And we will put the names of the paint, we'll run them along the bottom so you can see what colors I'm using. If you don't have this kind of bright yellow, you can use a different yellow, that's fine. So I'm just tapping the paint in, and I left that white in, and I'm just going to find where I'm going to make the horizon. So I'm going to go a little bit below half, and that looks like a little bit below. Now this is a 16 by 20 canvas, okay, and I'm using a wrapped canvas today. And here we go. So this will be the sky area, this will be the snow area, all right? I may bring that down just a little bit more. Now, what I'm doing is I'm just rubbing and doing an X stroke back and forth. I want to blend in some of this yellow going up. So it's going to be like a sunset, or yeah, I guess it would be more of a sunset. Like I said, it's just a fantasy painting just so you can get started. This painting is a beginner painting, okay? So anybody that has never painted before with oils, this would be a good one to start with. I have a lot of paintings that are very, very beginner. Because a lot of people that paint with acrylics are worried about trying oils, but don't worry, don't fret over it. Just go ahead and jump right in. All right, so next I have this nice yellow. I'm going to come into the cad red, okay? This is kind of like an orange color. Again, not even washing out the brush. We're going to try not to wash out brushes. All right, I'm putting just a little bit to start. And I'm going to come in and put some of this color in the middle. And again, blending back and forth. And you'll see me looking down. I have a little picture just so I can kind of see what colors I used rather than winging it totally, okay? So now you can see I have a streak in the middle. I want that to blend better. So I'm going to come in the middle and I'm going to do X. Here's the X stroke, okay? And I'm going a little faster, all right? And if I see it's not blending, all I have to do is push a little harder to blend the paint out. All right, there we go. And I like the idea that I have some variations of color, so I don't want to overblend. I could even come in and put a little more of that color and make it even brighter. It's really up to you what you like. All right, so without washing the brush out again, I'm just going to use some of that paint there. I'm going to go into some dioxazine purple, and this is a really strong color. So you can see I'm pulling a tiny, tiny bit out. Oops, and it looks like I got a little brown on there too. I put my paint too close. That's okay, let's see what happens. I'm going to put in just a little bit of purple. All right, we'll get some purple in there. Just to dress it up a little. And again, I'm going to blend. See the X stroke. I'm going fast, but when you're painting, go slow. You want to really see what you're doing, okay? So there's some nice little purple splotch I have in there. And I'll just pull it over till it runs out. I'm blending it in the bottom with that white, not the bottom, but I mean the white of the canvas, the fast flow, okay? Blend that out a little bit more, and I want to bring these colors together a little bit. So you can see how I'm pulling it up, okay? Now, again, without washing out the brush, I'm going to go into some cerulean blue. So I ran out of room, so I'll just pull a little over here. All right, now I added a little bit more blue there, tapping it into the brush just so it's maybe is a little bit even. All right, here we go. I'm going to come up top, put some cerulean blue. Now, a lot of times in the winter, the sky, well, I know in New Jersey is not cerulean blue. That's more Caribbean color, but like I said, I wanted this to be more of a fantasy kind of bright look, more for the lesson than anything else. and I think the brighter colors show better. I like the idea that I have some streaks in there too. So I'm going to come in and put a little bit more blue here. All right, just to create a pretty sky. I don't know if I like how this line is in here, but that's okay because I'm going to put in some white, kind of make a little bit of cloud formations. So I think that I'll do that now before I go on to the bottom. So I'm just going to take a fan brush and I'm going into the white. I have 2 piles of white here so I can leave one kind of uncorrupted with color in case it gets a little mixed up later on in the painting. So I'm not really going to make clouds. I'm just going to come in and rub some white in here. And you can see I'm just rubbing back and forth. I'm turning the brush over to use the other side. So I know, in the winters you see the stringy clouds going across. So just the idea to break up the color, and I have quite a bit of color on there, so I'm just going to lean down and rub on my paper towel. So when you see me leaning down like this, I'm just wiping some of the paint off, okay? Going back, getting a little bit of paint again. You can see I'm not dipping in the puddle of paint. I'm taking it from the side. So I wasn't real thrilled with this kind of streak going across, and that's just me. So you know what? I'll come in and I'll separate it with some white paint and rub that out a little bit like that. Okay, so you can see what I'm doing. Now I'm turning the brush over again, getting a little more white in there. I'll come back and wipe it off. So when you see you're picking up too much of the under layer of paint, then you can just come out there, wipe off your brush, go back in again. So maybe I'll come up here, put a little bit of white, have some nice streaks in there. So these are not really clouds that, I teach how to paint like in my other videos, but feel free to go to my other videos where I actually give cloud lessons, okay? This is just the idea, very simple, to get you started. Put in some white. So what I'll do is, sorry, I had a little gnat flying by the paint there. I'm just going to rub some of this white in. And I'm going to step back and see what I have. And I think that's pretty good. Pretty good, okay? So a little bit more up there. I have a little hair. I'm just going to flick that right up. If you pull the brush up, that's how you get the little bristle off. And the brushes, that happens a lot. All right, so now I would call that sky complete. What I would do, which you don't have to do, is you can get a little spongy tool and you can make a little, a little sunspot. So this is a little Deco Art spongy tool and you can just turn it, and what you're doing is I'm just wiping off the paint. Just a little fun thing you can do, you don't have to, and you would just keep wiping until you can see a little sunspot. It doesn't have to stand out totally, okay? You can just barely see it. I pushed a little harder. Maybe I'll use this side and rub that off. There we go. So I have a little bit of a sunspot in there. Just something fun extra you can do. Okay? So now I'm going to go along to the bottom and using the same filbert brush. All right? I'm going to make a little bit of a water feature here. I don't really know. It would be just like a little stream. All right? And just going to kind of draw it in a little bit first, all right? Now, if I get too close to that yellow, I'm going to get green. That's okay, because we're going to be putting some little trees up there, and they are going to turn a little green. I want to show you what happens when we add the blue on top, how it will automatically turn it green. So I'm just going to come in here and just kind of make a little bit of a design. So this would be like a little creek or something, all right? And what I want to do is I want to widen it up at the bottom so it looks a little bit bigger on the bottom as compared to the top. All right, so that's just for perspective. This way it looks like it's, bigger in the front, smaller in the back. So I'll even widen this up a little more. So just wanted to get some color. You can see I'm not using any medium or anything at this time because I'm going to be putting some layers of white on top of this to make it look snowy. All right, so you know what? I think I'm going to pull this all the way out. Just for the heck of it. I think I like the way that'll look like that. All right? There we go. So I made that a little bigger this time. I think you'll be able to see it a little better. All right? So just the idea, we have a little bit of curve in here, for a little bit of interest. Maybe I'll pull this out a little, just get a little bit more interest in that little stream or brook, whatever that is there. Okay? So now, what I would like to do is just to start, This is already white on the bottom, but we do have to build some snow up on it, all right? So I have this blue in my brush, and I can still use it because it will make it just look like some shadow. So what I would do is just come in here with this dirty brush and just put on a very, very thin layer of blue. I got some fresh white there, but there's still quite a bit of blue in there, and that's all right. I just want to get a little bit of that paint on there. I don't want to put too much because I have to put some very dark trees on top. And if there's too much paint, I'm going to pick up so much color underneath that I won't be able to get the dark colors on there. All right, so here we go, a little bit of white. And here's when I can reshape the brook. If I decide I want to pull this in a little more, see, I can reshape it now. Maybe want to pull this in. All right, that's how you can reshape. And then we're gonna go around it again and put some bright white so it really does look like icy water. All right, so I think I want to reshape that. All right, so that's how you would reshape while you still have time to do that. All right, and I may add a little bit blue on there later. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a fan brush and I'm going to just put a simple line of trees. And I'm going to use, believe it or not, blue. And I'll add a little bit of white to that blue. And I'm going to get a pale blue because the trees are in the background. So we want them to look further back. So I'm not using a straight blue. What's going to happen is as I'm tapping on these little trees, you might be able to see it already, they are turning a little bit blue. Now when you use a cerulean blue on top of this yellow, you can see how it's turning green. That's exactly what I wanted. I wanted it to turn a little green. Rather than use a straight green, sap green, I'm actually mixing it on the canvas, okay, and I'm getting that green. Now, all I'm doing is tapping up and down. You can see I'm not going back for more paint yet because I want to pull up some of that paint in the background because I want it to look green, okay? So, besides the blue, let me explain that right. So in other words, I'm using blue because I want it to look like a far away color, all right? But I also want to get some green in there just to show that it's actually some greenery. All right, and you can see I'm tapping with the brush straight up and down, and I'm trying not to make a pattern. All right, so I'm going up and down, we'll have some small, some big. All right, so you can see that I'm just kind of going back and forth. Then at the bottom, of course, I can come like this. Rub that a little bit, and I could always we'll put some snow there, all right? So, just gonna keep coming across. So I'll go a little bit faster. I think that you get the idea of that. That's pretty simple. So now I will go and get some more blue. Got some blue, some white again. Same fan brush. This is a Wilson Bickford number, let me look at the number 3 fan brush. There's also number 4. I just happen to be using the number 3 right now, but either one would be fine. Of course, if you use a bigger fan brush, then it'll be easier to make bigger trees, depends on what you want. So now I see I have a little pattern going there, because you automatically would make patterns. It's just one of those things that, you'd be looking at it and saying, no, I'm not going to make a pattern, but it's very easy to make a pattern. So I'm just going to stand a little bit in front so I can see what I'm doing here, and I see another little pattern there, so I'm just going to break it up. You can see, okay? So again, take your time when you're doing it, because see, that's a little bit neater. Starting to get a little sloppy there, but that's okay, because like I said, they're background trees. And very beginner painting. Anybody can do this. Anybody. Look, I'm just tapping. Okay, we'll make even some a little bit bigger. All right, and then I can just maybe go like this in the bottom. Have it look like a little shadow. If I see some yellow in there, I could just come in straightwise and kind of cover that up. We like a little bit of yellow showing through, just not too much, okay? So I think the colors are very pretty. So that's why I'm calling this a fantasy painting. Yeah, we do really see colors like this in the sky, but I'm really making them brighter than maybe they would be around here for this time. So next what I want to do is I'm going to add a few big trees, all right? And rather than, I think I could use the same brush. I don't have black on my palette, okay? But to get black, all you have to do is add a few dark colors, all right? So let's see what I get. I'm going to add some of the dioxazine purple. I'm adding some Van Dyke brown, and I'm going to add some ultramarine, Okay, so I forgot, oh, I didn't forget my palette knife. I have my palette knife. All right, so what I'm doing is it's easier to mix them up with the palette knife rather than get all that paint in your brush, okay? So I'm mixing it up, and I think I'll add a little bit more brown. To me, it looks very, very purple. All right, maybe a little bit more blue. And then I can do a test on it, and I can see. Now, the way you would do the test to see what kind of color it's going to be is you would just take a little bit of white on your finger. You'll come over here, and you'll add a little bit of the color. All right, so it looks to me like a gray, so it might be pretty close to black. All right, now we're going to give it a try anyway. Like I said, this is a fantasy painting. I'm not real worried if the colors are not so accurate as to what they would be. And here we go. I'm loading up the brush, all right? I might need to use a little bit of a turpenoid to loosen up the paint a little bit, but I'm going to try it without it first, all right? So I think I'll start with this tree over here, and I'm going to start about here. I don't want to make it real, real huge because I like how that sky looks. And I'm just tapping down. This is the trunk of the tree, okay? Now, back again into the paint. Here I go. I'm just chiseling it up. You could even spread it apart like this, like I did for these. I didn't spread it apart, I didn't need it, but you can to have it open up a little more. But I want to show you what you're doing with this brush and how you do a tree with this brush. I have other shows that show you different brushes, okay? Now the fan brush on the chisel edge, I'm going to start tapping back and forth and in a Z pattern. See the Z pattern? All right? Now, I want to show you, as I come in here, I'm starting to pick up some color, of course, from the background. So I'm just going to come and get a little bit more paint, all right? Load up the brush, and again, I'm going to start, see how it got darker again, all right? I'm going to start with the Z pattern, and I'm picking up the paint again. Now, I can just come back in. Since it's so dark, a little bit of that background paint won't really change this color. So you don't have to wash it out. I didn't even wipe it. All right, again, coming back, you can see it's darker. And back and forth. And there's my tree. All right, so if I see a little part, I could always come in and tap a little more. All right, so there's a pretty little tree, and we're gonna put some snow on that tree. So now I will wipe out my, my brush. I will come back into my paint, and hopefully I don't have to mix any more. I might though. Here we go. And I'm going to come in, and I think right about here maybe. Now I'm going to do 3 trees. I don't want them all the same height. So if this one comes over here, I can make that one bigger or smaller. So I think I'll make it bigger. And tapping down. I also don't want to make it the same length on the bottom, or the same, how do I say, going across the same on the bottom. So I'll pull that one down a little more. Now this is a bigger tree, all right? And I probably will need more paint. So again, I'm tapping up, turning the brush. I'm using the corner here of the brush and tapping. All right, tapping, 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 turning my brush over to get more of the black off. Tapping, tapping. Okay, and again, with that Z stroke, and it's funny, every time I say the Z stroke, I think of the Z with the Zorro, how it's a Z. So that's how you can remember the Z, like Zorro. Now you can see I got gray in there. That's okay. That's fine. It doesn't have to be totally black. All right. I just wanted to show you what to do if you did want it totally black over there. All right. Now I'm going to start to open this up a little bit more in the bottom. And that's a lot of gray. So I may wipe off my brush again, come back in, and just get a little bit darks on there. All right. And there we go. That's the second tree. And you can stand back, take a peek, and see if that looks all right. Now that one's a little skinnier and taller. That one's a little broader. Now I am going to need more paint, so I'll go back with my palette knife. No recipe for this. Just taking some blue and some Van Dyke and some dioxazine. Here we go. Mixing it up. Mixing it up. Rather than stick your whole brush in there, I got some blue in there too. Doesn't matter. It's so dark. Okay, now I could do that finger test again to see if it looks gray with the white. You can kind of tell if it leans towards the blue or the purple. And I don't have to. It looks pretty good. Just for the sake of the lesson at home. Usually if I was painting, I would check it again, but I'm not going to for now. because this looks pretty good. So again, here we go, I'm pulling the paint out. So I'm going to do one more tree over in the back here, and this one comes here. So maybe I'll bring that one down a little bit lower, and maybe I'll make it a little bit smaller. So here I go. That's a little bit not the same, okay? And that's what we want, not exactly the same. So again, I'm going to come on the side of the brush. There is my Z pattern, okay? I lost a little Z pattern there, that's okay. You know, trees are not perfect. And pushing down, I got a little thick there, that's okay. So you know what? I'll thicken it up on that side and try to have a few little extras coming off, and this tree will be thicker. So you can kind of alter after you get some paint on, all right? So I'm gonna make this one a little bigger. See, I'm just widening it up as I go along. So as I get down to the bottom, I'm more using the whole of the brush, not just that side that I used, okay? So there we go. And we got a lot of gray down there, so that's okay. Maybe I'll make it a little blacker. All right, now we have some snow at the bottom, not so much though, so I probably will go back and put a little snow, but while I have this brush, I may come in here and see where I wanna change a little. This side, maybe I want a little more crooked, I guess you could say, all right? Down here looks pretty good. Okay, so that's that. So what I would do is you can come up with your palette knife and you can pull this up a little, all right, just to, you know, give a little more detail. You can even come in here, put some lines in here, just to make it look like some little branches or something. I don't know if that's going to show, but sometimes a little detail helps. You can do the same thing with the back trees, if I can wipe off my palette knife, and you can even come in here and you can scrape some little, what would you call them? Little trunks. So I'm going to have to push a little harder so you can see them, okay? So just a little something extra you can do if you want. It's nice to get a little detail, have some come up longer, some shorter, all right? Just to dress it up a little more, maybe nice couple in there. And I would concentrate a little more in here, kind of make a focal point, okay? So I'm gonna go work on that, the snow a little bit. So we'll go back to the snow. And let me see if I have a clean brush rather than take the time, okay? So what I would do now is come in and just lay some snow on. You can see how I'm holding the brush. I'm just gonna lay a little bit more, little texture, a little more detail there, all right? Same thing here, I can hold the brush overhand and kind of lay some snow on, all right? We want it to be very snowy. And I'm gonna come back and put some snow on those trees too, all right? So, and you can work on this, of course, you'll take your time and you'll put some nice snow in there. What I wanna do is I wanna come in and outline my my water a little, all right? So I'm gonna put some snow here and it's gonna look like it's fading in, all right? Some icy water. I'm gonna use my knife and I'm gonna come in and kind of outline it a little, but I wanted the water to look a little icy, okay? So let me wipe off my knife. I actually have to, 1 second for me. I'm going to pick up a fresh paper towel because now I have a lot of that black all over. So when I'm going to the white from the black, of course you have to get rid of that black. There we go. So that got rid of that there. So I'm going to take some of this and just lay it out, and I'm going to scoop some up like this. And I'm just coming in with a stroke, not even a stroke, I guess you can call it. I'm just going to rub this back and forth. I want it to look like icy at the end of the water. So I'm just kind of outlining the water a little, okay? You can see how I'm outlining. I'll come back and neaten that up a little. So like I said, I'm kind of going fast just to get this lesson in, but when you're home, I want you to take your time. You can see I'm just rubbing it on and just get the illusion that it just might be some ice coming in at the end of the water, all right? So that's how you do that. You're just gonna rub this on, all right? Because I have a few more minutes and I do want to show you how to get that white paint on those trees, all right? So there we have it, that kind of outlines the snow, the ice a little on the side of the water, all right? You can come in and put a couple of water lines in here just by tapping this way. Now, I might if I had more time, I might have made this water a little bit darker just so you can see, but I think that you're at least getting this lesson. I think the lesson is coming across, and that's my main goal, is to get this lesson across to you. All right, so what I'd like to do is I am going to take a clean fan brush. All right, at home, of course, you could wash them out. I just am getting a clean one to save some time. Taking some of that white over here. Now, the white seems a little thick, and I have to go on top of the black. So I'm just going to dip in a little bit of turpenoid to loosen the paint up a little. And I'm going to come back, and this was the first one I did, so I'll go back. I think that's the first one I did. So I'm going to come back here, and using the same fashion, I'm going to come and just dab, very gently dab some white on here. All right, and that's just going to look like a little bit of snow. I want to keep the integrity of the black underneath, okay? Because we don't want to mix it too much. It's okay, we get a little gray in there, that's fine too. We just want to keep the integrity of the black. All right, same thing coming up, and let's get some snow on. I'm not doing every single branch, okay? Just get some snow on there. All right, I'm gonna wipe my brush off, going back to the white. I have to dip again a little, move some of that here, dipped a little bit. Like I said, I loosened up that paint, and there is some snow. All right, big difference once you put that snow on. All right, so down here I may say, you know what, let's just pull out a little, just so it looks like maybe a little shadow under the tree. Now this is just a little, you know, little extras, just give a little more detail. So pull out a little bit of a shadow under the tree, because if the sun's behind it, there may be a little shadow coming from those trees. The more shadows you put in, it always looks nice to have some shadows. Now you can come back and do them in blue. I'm just kind of taking the easy way out, and just to get a little bit in there, okay? So, and I just may tap a little bit, all right? And the other thing is, you can come back, you can put some white. I just wiped my brush a little, we'll see. You can come back and just tap in a little white in the back, just to show it looks a little bit of snow back there, all right? Now, what I do want to show you, one of the last things I want to show you is you can put some, two things. You can put some grasses in. I'll just hurry and put a few grasses in just to show you. All right, so I loosened up the paint with some turpenoid. I'm using a script liner, and you can just come in and start to pull up some grasses, just a little bit, okay, here and there. Pull up some grasses, all right? So, you know, there's a lot more that you would do to this painting. So I'm dipping the brush into the turpenoid, and I'm making a loose paint. You can see it's loose, all right? And we're going to give this a shot. I'm going to put down my palette, and here we go. I'm holding the brush up, and I'm going to start to see if I can get some of that paint off. Now, once you get the snow on here, it does make it look like a real winter scene. All right, and you can hear, I don't know if you can hear it kind of spattering a bit, going right over that water, everything. So it looks like you're looking through snow at the scene. And going all over, trying to get as much off of this brush as I can. Go back, get a little bit more. Now the turpenoid starts to dry in about 30 seconds. So a lot of times you do have to go back and forth, okay? So if I was really going to work on this painting, I would come back in and really take my time, try to make this look very, very icy. Really pull in the paint a little, make it look icy. And then this way you have a nice fantasy winter scene. I'm calling it a fantasy winter scene because of all the colors I used. Okay, so that's it for me today. The only thing I have left to do is sign my painting. I'd like to thank you for watching my show, and come to my website, www.lucysworldofpainting.com, and take a look at all my shows, and write to me if you like to. Thanks again.